Extrasensory perception, abbreviated ESP, describes a way of speaking or of being aware of something besides the use of the recognized senses. Uncognizance of any other person's ideas except the use of sight, hearing, taste, touch, or odor would be an example of ESP. The find out about of extrasensory appreciation is part of the area of psychology called parapsychology. What parapsychologists study? Extrasensory understanding is generally divided into three kinds of phenomena: 1. Telepathy, 2. Clairvoyance, and 3. Precognition. Telepathy is the sensing of a person's ideas or feelings in some unknown way. Clairvoyance is in recognition of objects, events, or humans besides the use of the acknowledged senses. Precognition is expertise of a future match via unknown means. Some parapsychologists additionally study phenomena associated to ESP, such as psychokinesis. Psychokinesis is the mental manipulation of physical objects, such as influencing the fall of dice. Early ESP research. Classic ESP experiments, which were developed and used normally between the 1930s and the 1960s, worried about card guessing. Researchers often used a deck of 25 one-of-a-kind ESP playing cards, also called Zener cards, named for the American psychologist Carl E. Zener. Each Zener card had one of 5 symbols on it, such as a circle or a plus sign. In a easy take a look at of telepathy, an individual called the sender would randomly draw a card from a shuffled deck and listen on its symbol. A 2D person, referred to as the receiver, usually sat in any other room and would attempt to title the image that the sender used to be questioning of. In a test on clairvoyance, the sender would take cards from the deck one at a time but would no longer seem at the symbols, and the receiver would attempt to name them. In a check for precognition, the cards would be selected after the receiver made a guess. Modern ESP research. ESP researchers increased their experiments in many ways by using the 1970s and 1980s. Senders now normally view pictures or brief scenes from a film, alternatively of Zener cards. The receiver is then instructed that the sender is searching at a photograph or movie scene and is requested to describe it, besides being given any different information. Experimenters take many precautions so that all recognized regular explanations for profitable guessing can be ruled out. For instance, it is inappropriate for people who know the correct answer to be present in the room when a receiver is trying to describe a picture because they would possibly convey subtle, unconscious clues about the answer. Modern ESP experimenters analyze their outcomes the usage of statistical methods. These methods examine the real outcomes to what would be predicted if the receiver have been simply guessing and not using ESP. In the most primary method of analysis, the true target image and 3 additional decoy photographs are proven to the receiver. The receiver is asked which one he or she thinks the sender used to be attempting to send. By chance, receivers ought to choose the correct graphic about 1/4 of the time. However, many contemporary ESP research have found that receivers do so about 1/3 of the time. One necessary element is that a PC selects the real target graphic at random from the 4 possible choices. With this computer-generated random selection, the success of the receiver cannot be effortlessly explained by way of the sender and receiver coincidentally deciding on the equal photograph. Since the 1970s, universities and laboratories have performed lots of scientific ESP experiments. The success charge of about 1/3 has remained consistent. To some, this fee provides strong statistical evidence that the effects are no longer due to chance. However, many scientists are reluctant to take delivery of that these experiments grant evidence for ESP. Many consider that the existence of ESP would require a trade in thinking about the integral legal guidelines of physics. Current theories in physics do no longer furnish an rationalization for how ESP can exist. Other scientists disagree, citing more than a few advances in contemporary theories in physics as feasible explanations for ESP. The existence of ESP will stay controversial until a scientific explanation is discovered for how it works. Possible misunderstandings. Some scientists point out that the evidence for ESP is controversial due to the fact many non-public experiences that show up to be the end result of ESP can be explained by psychological tactics of which most humans are no longer aware. People frequently do no longer know how occasions around them set off their thoughts. Two humans who comprehend each other properly may additionally each ride a similar chain of thoughts when uncovered to a common stimulus. For example, a husband and spouse may additionally be analyzing together and not paying tons interest to music on a radio. Then certain tune triggers in every of them the reminiscence of a person they met quite a few years ago but have no longer encountered since. Just as one of them is about to bring up the person's name, the other one mentions it. These comparable ideas may also appear to be an occasion of extrasensory perception. Neither person may also realize that the song really set off both of their thoughts. Other experiences that appear to involve ESP may, in fact, be simple coincidences. Everyone will in all likelihood ride improbable occasions that seem to be ESP on occasion just via chance.